One chipped mug can be junk, but the one sitting right next to it, that could pay for your whole thrifting trip. If you love the hunt, shop secondhand for character, or resell online. But the important part is knowing what to notice that can help save you money and help you spot pieces that have real staying power. The trick is not assuming that old means valuable. Plenty of vintage items are common, and there's plenty of newer items that have a strong collector's market. What matters is the demand, the condition, the brand or maker, the rarity, and whether or not the item has the details that collectors care about. A great thrift score usually sits right where nostalgia and style meet scarcity. Collectors usually care about one of three things. They either want a piece that completes a set, a version that's hard to find, or they want something that's tied to a brand, an era, or a character that has loyal fans. Now that means a plain-looking bowl can matter if it matches a discontinued pattern. And a toy can matter if it's still, in the box with the original accessories included. Condition matters more than many people will think or expect when they first start thrifting. A small flaw doesn't always ruin the value, especially on an older piece, but damage, that will change the buyer pool. A vintage vase with lightware may still sell very well. For plush, dolls, and toys, stains, odors, missing tags, and replacement parts can make a big difference. Brand recognition helps, but it's not the whole story. Well-known names can sell because buyers trust them. Unmarked items sometimes do well when the design is strong and the category is in demand. This is why having experience matters. Over time, your eye will start catching the right shape, pattern, weight, material, texture, finishing details, even before you check the label. Some sections of the thrift store reward patience more than others. Glassware, pottery, framed art, toys, holiday decor, handbags, and small home decor often hide the best surprises because they are easy to overlook and they're hard for casual shoppers to identify quickly. Let's start with glass and pottery. This is one of the strongest categories for both personal shopping and resale, and it's my personal favorite. Some people collect depression glass, milk glass, carnival glass, or they'll find stoneware crocks, studio pottery, things like that have specific maker marks, especially from mid-century or even older. Even when a piece is not rare, unusual colors, textured finishes, and retro shapes can attract buyers. Check for maker's marks, hand-painted signatures, etchings, the country of origin label, maybe a pattern number. Make sure you inspect the rims and the handles closely. Tiny chips love to hide right where your fingers will catch, even if it's just a little tiny one. Now, if the condition is clean and the detail feels distinctive, it's often worth a second look. When it comes to toys, plushies, different figurines, nostalgia sells. Especially when buyers are replacing old childhood favorites, or building display collections, or just wanting to share a piece of their childhood with their own kiddos now. Older Barbie pieces, Fisher-Price, My Little Pony, Polly Pocket, even those Beanie Babies sometimes can still catch a pretty penny if they have a desirable tag or if they're still rare in some way. Licensed characters, different anime or gaming items definitely have a market. So a toy with its original outfit and accessories, or just the packaging itself is still mint in the box, that will jump in value. On the other hand, a great brand with missing pieces will still sell, but usually it's to a different buyer at a lower price. If you resell, this is where parting out can sometimes make more sense than just selling one mixed lot. Vintage Christmas items sell year after year. People love ceramic trees, blow molds, figurines, ornaments, and any other retro holiday kitchen item that, if it's old, it's vintage, those have loyal followings. People decorate early, they collect by the theme, and often they come back looking for one specific piece that they missed, especially if there's a certain set that is highly collectible. Seasonal pieces are especially good if they have bright graphics, retro colors, or a handmade look. Just watch for repairs, any battery corrosion, or broken lights that may compromise it. Fashion accessories and bags. Collectible does not only mean antique. Certain handbags, scarves, belts, other costume jewelry, and branded accessories, they become collectible because of their design, their label, or trend cycles. For instance, right now, Y2K and 1990s styles are pulling a strong interest, especially with younger generations now. And any older leather goods or anything with really quality hardware can do surprisingly well. This is also a category where style and resale overlap nicely. If something looks current but it has a vintage edge, it may appeal to both collectors and shoppers who simply want a standout piece, something statement. Now, how do you spot value without standing in the aisle forever trying to look it up on your phone? You don't need to research every single item. The goal is to build a fast filter. Start with the brand, materials. If something's 100% cotton or merino wool, it's probably going to go for more money than polyester or acrylic. If it's in excellent condition, there's no holes, there's no stains. If it feels like it would be easier to ship, it's still worth it, even if it may not sell for as much as you anticipated to start with. Then, ask yourself one more question. Is this something that somebody would actively search for? Would you look for it? That question helps cut through the clutter. A generic plate might be pretty, but a discontinued pattern from a known maker, that gets searched for. Random stuffed animals might just sit collecting dust forever, but if there's a recognizable licensed plush in a clean condition, that's more likely to move. Search behavior matters because collectible value is tied to buyer intent, not just your personal taste. And that's something that I have had to learn. Just because I think it's cute doesn't mean it's something that people will be wanting to find or be searching for. Now, a good habit is to check those sold prices, not just wishful asking prices. Just because someone lists it for $500 doesn't mean it's ever going to sell for that. Maybe it'll only sell for $50. Anyone can list a trinket high, but it's the sold comps that show what a buyer will actually pay. If you resell regularly, you'll learn when a lower value item is still worth buying because it's lightweight, easy to photograph, and likely to flip quickly. Now, when collectible thrift finds are worth buying anyway, that takes time, that takes experience to figure out. Not every good thrift purchase needs to be a jackpot either. Some items are worth grabbing just because they are inexpensive and attractive, and they're likely to steadily sell, even if your profit margin is just modest. Others are worth it because it strengthens your shop style or it brings back repeat buyers who love a certain look. That is, one curated resale point that you learn with experience and time, especially as your buyers get to know who you are and what your style is. And a piece does not have to be museum level rare to be desirable. It just needs to have personality, good presentation, and the right audience. Sometimes that one buyer will come along and just love it. Here at Z's Pieces, That mix of charm and affordability and secondhand character is part of what makes the hunt so fun for me. There's also the personal use factor. If you collect for yourself, value is not only financial. The right thrift find can add so much style to your home or your wardrobe for a fraction of the retail. Sometimes the best buy is the one you know that you will love, even if it never goes anywhere near a shipping box. There's so many things that I get to enjoy for a while before they finally make it elsewhere in the world. Now, there are mistakes that people make with collectible thrift finds. The biggest mistake is buying something just because it looks old or fancy. Gold trim, cursive writing, heavy materials can fool people pretty quickly. Another common mistake is ignoring damage just because the price is low. Cheap is not the same as worth it, especially if the flaw kills the resale potential. Now, the opposite mistake is leaving behind good items because they're not perfect. It depends on the category. Collectors of rustic pottery may accept glaze pops or ageware. Buyers of designer bags may tolerate cornerware if the structure is strong. Plush buyers might overlook tagware if the item itself is clean. The details change by the niche. You have to see what generally works for your store, your customers, and it's a learning process. Overbuying, though, is another trap. A thrift store may be full of items that can drain your budget and fill your storage fast. If you're reselling, discipline matters. It's better to come home with 5 really strong pieces than 20 questionable ones that need research, repairs, or take up too much shelf space. A smarter way to build your eye and the fastest way to improve is repetition. Visit the same categories often. Figure out what you like. Handle the items. Turn it over. Tap on it. Read the labels. Look up the sold comps. Notice what shows up often in the unsold versus what disappears quickly. Your eye gets sharper when you connect what you saw in store with what buyers actually wanted later. It also helps to specialize a little bit before you branch out. Maybe you get good at pottery first, or vintage plush, or costume jewelry. And once you know one lane well, it becomes easier to recognize quality in other lanes. You start seeing patterns in construction, branding, packaging, and era-specific design. Now, if you pay attention to your own excitement, sometimes your gut reaction is not enough by itself, but it points you towards categories that are worth learning more about. If you always stop at the glassware or the toys, lean into that. Knowledge builds faster when you actually enjoy the research. Collectible thrift finds are part skill, part curiosity, and part timing. You will miss good pieces sometimes. Everybody does. But the more you train your eye, the more often you will spot the hidden gems that are hidden between the obvious stuff. Keep learning, keep checking the details, and let the thrill of the hunt stay fun instead of just frantic. And happy thrifting. Be sure to check out my store, Z's Pieces. And you can find me on eBay, on Poshmark, on Etsy, or just go to zspieces.com. And I have everything linked there for you. I've had a whole lot of fun with my own curating, and you do learn as you go. So take my tips here for what will help you, and have fun out there. Bye.